All right. Good morning, everybody. This is another Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. I am always looking for great leaders in our industry that are just doing the right things. They're killing it. And I don't know exactly how many years ago, Jessica, I interviewed you for the first time, but I mean, I'm thinking 4 years ago. Does that seem right to you?
That's about right. 2018, I think. Yep.
Yeah. So guys, she's a super incredible success story. At the time of that interview, she lived in Denver, Colorado, my hometown. Go Broncos. Even though we're eliminated for we were eliminated a while ago, but it's been a tough year as a Bronco fan. But there's a couple really cool things about Jessica that I want to highlight today. First of all, she's incredibly successful. For 2020 and 2021, she was closing around 260 million, over 600 borrowers served both of those years. And then coming into this year, which has been really rough. I mean, the industry is down significantly. She's outpacing the industry, and she's on track to do, well, she's going to close over 200 million, over 470 borrowers served. So incredibly successful. She also relocated her family in 2020 to Southern California and is still doing 95% of her production in Denver while living in Newport Beach, California, neighbor of mine. So I think that is super interesting, super important, super powerful. And then she is a mortgage coach. She uses technology to her advantage, which is obvious. She's using Zoom and virtual tools. So we're going to find out what she's doing. And then we're going to also find out what's she going to do in 23. Like this is really all about preparing everyone on this call, everyone in our community to hear what Jessica's doing to win in 2023. So welcome, Jessica Uphoff. It's good to have you here.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here again after all this time.
I know. Well, let's not make it an every 4-year thing. Let's try to make this more often. And now that you're in Newport Beach, we gotta get together for lunch.
Exactly. Need to have coffee.
Yeah. So Jessica, let's just start, since it has been so long. Just tell us a little bit about your mortgage practice.
Sure.
Describe it however you want to describe it.
Sure.
And then we'll get into, I'd say, first half, high level strategies, and then second half of this interview, we'll get into tactics and how-tos. So describe what your practice looks like, and your mortgage why. What is your strategy?
Yeah. My strategy is I run a consultative mortgage business. We have a nice team. So we have a nice small team where we high touch, high service to our real estate partners and clients. I'm a purchase girl. So yes, we did take advantage of refinances over the last couple of years, but when the rates fell significantly, I told my team, listen, this is when we're going to get amazing market share. And we focused on going after big, high producing realtors during that time. We did do some refinances, but that was not our primary focus. We are all remote. So my entire team, although we have a office in Denver, we work remotely. And we really focused on how to become the most efficient mortgage team possible, which is the name of the game in today's world in mortgage. So yeah, realtors are the primary channel of my business, although I do service some builders as well. And just trying to position ourselves with our real estate partners and clients to kind of walk people through how to solve problems in today's industry. And, we were solving problems in our last market cycle, which is how do we win and beat out 19 other offers during the pandemic? And then in this market cycle, how do we overcome affordability challenges that our clients are having? And so our team takes the approach of educating our clients and our partners and teaching them how to win and end up, pursuing real estate as an investment and why it's important, and how to overcome the things that are standing in the way of making it easy. So.
Wow. So I already took some notes, because if there was like a poster saying like how to kill it as a modern mortgage professional, I think, what you said, consultative mortgage practice. So she started with that whole high touch, high tech consultative practice. focus on purchase. So strategy is the local provider helping solve problems in the purchase market. For all you loan officers out there, the focus on big agents. I mean, she just called it out. And coming into this new year, I push every mortgage professional to go through, who are you targeting? And you need to kind of refresh that, because it's tough for real estate agents. And who you targeted and who the whales were in 2020 and 2021 are likely not who it's going to be in 23. So we've got to really make sure we're calling on the right people. All remote. So I'm going to ask questions around what's that mean? How do you pull that off? I love optimize efficiency. It's something everyone needs to do. And then I love, we talk about this all the time, don't sell loan programs. It's not about selling loan programs at interest rates. It's about selling the problems that you solve. And she even called it out. Like, we were solving this problem in 21, and now we're solving a whole new problem. So what a great start for our team. Like, that's some good micro content right there. Like, if you want to be modern and you want to be killing it, like, do what you're doing. So Jessica, where do you want to take it from here? Because I want to make sure that we net out what you're gonna be doing to kill it in 23, but I also want to make sure we describe things enough now that people connect the dots.
Yeah. I think we should talk about where we are today, like where the market is, where our real estate agents are at, where the clients are at. And then I also think we should talk about where we're headed. That's what resonates with me. So
Let's go.
Okay, perfect. So right now we've got affordability struggles. They are getting better. CPI came out today, better than expected. Mortgage bonds are rallying, which is fantastic news for the mortgage industry. Interest rates are going to keep falling. It just is a matter of how quickly will they fall. And so we're going to be solving to affordability concerns amongst prospects and real estate agents for, some more time to come. So how do we overcome their current affordability concerns or challenges that they have? And basically what we're doing is we're using Mortgage Coach. We're using Mortgage Coach to help people understand and paint a picture. And that's why I love Mortgage Coach, is I use Mortgage Coach to basically show people a path. So with prospects right now, prospects are like, I can't afford a mortgage payment with a 6.5% interest rate. You got to paint the picture for them. Okay, yes, interest rates are 6.5, but if we have this solution available to you, and this is what your future will likely look like, you paint the picture. And that's, what our team uses Mortgage Coach for, is basically to show a client their path. So I'll go through a Mortgage Coach here shortly on what we do with some prospects from that angle. The other thing is real estate agents. Real estate agents are struggling with affordability issues, and they don't know how to necessarily, they know the solutions, they don't know how to overcome the issues. So what we're doing with real estate agents is I'm actually staying in touch with my real estate partners. I scour through the MLS in Denver. I look at all of my partners' listings and how long they've been sitting on the market active without going under contract. And I'm without them asking, I'm sending them the tools and vehicle for them to be able to reverse prospect to buyer's agents that may have scheduled a showing, or this house meets their client's criteria. So in the Denver MLS, you can actually reverse prospect and find the agents that have buyers that meet that house's criteria. And then I'm spoon feeding them email scripts and visual presentations that were built from a Mortgage Coach that they can send to prospective buyer's agents and discuss and paint that picture for folks. So I'll share my screen to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about.
Time out. Before
Sure.
you do that, I just want to, connect the dots to, this is a market where it's an educator's market. I actually had a president of a very large mortgage company, one of the biggest, that services one of America's biggest builders. And he actually, someone that I've been trying to sell Mortgage Coach to forever, and unsuccessfully. And I actually asked him, like, hey, why aren't you already a customer? He's like, well, in previous markets, we had a really high conversion rate. we just showed people, the loans, and because we have all these concessions, we kind of have an unfair advantage. We didn't need as much. And I go, well, why now? He's like, well, now we need to educate consumers around affordability, around the value of our concessions. And so I can tell you guys right now that in 2023, the winners are going to be the best educators. And I'm looking forward to hearing what are you doing to prepare for 2023. But I guarantee part of that preparation is, how do we optimize as rates come down? How are we preparing so that as rates come down, we're super efficient, we're super effective, and at the same time, how do we educate? So guys, I want to put what she's going to show you under that bucket of essential skills. And if you're a manager watching this, I would really go and audit everyone that works for you. Can they do what Jessica's doing? And if they can't, they're at a massive disadvantage in this marketplace. So show us what you got and share anything you want.
Sure. So just to kind of set the stage here for what I'm going to share, I feel like our real estate partners don't know how to sell buy down options very well, but the buy down solutions are really the way to make affordability concerns less, right? So we basically, we're providing our partners with the following. Let me show you this here real quick. So we wrote this email to our partners that just says, hey, hey partner, I see you have a listing located here and I thought I'd share some data with you. Then there's an email template that they can send to the buyer's agents that might be a match for their property. It's got a YouTube video on why mortgage rates are thought to be coming down. There's a real estate report card from Barry Habib's website that I'll show you momentarily. And then a flyer for the property. So we make a flyer specific to this property to show the following information. So let me open this flyer here real quick and pull it over here. So we're basically sharing with them. I call it a seller subsidy program. I feel like 3-2-1 or 2-1, one is overplayed. I like to do things that are a little different than the rest of the industry. And 2, seller subsidy is just more clear to me on what it means. So I like to use seller subsidy payment reduction program is what we have. We've got the address of the property. And then we list on here, here's where the rate will be in 2023 until you can refi. And then here is what maybe a no cost, we've been offering a no cost refinance now for about 12 months. We kind of saw that we were going to be in an increasing interest rate environment and said, hey, if you do a purchase loan with us, we'll do your refinance for free. So we're just showing them, here's the purchase loan with the seller subsidy program year 1. Here's the no cost refi. So we're painting a picture for the prospect, right? Here's your monthly payment right out of the gate. Here's your monthly payment when you can refi, okay? So we're basically trying to show the prospect that, hey, we understand rates are high, but here's the solution right now, and here's the solution in the future. Again, we use Mortgage Coach to paint that picture for folks. We also are giving prospects this real estate report card. If you're not using this in your business, it is just money, in my opinion. It basically is showing forecasted appreciation for the area of the property. So this is Jefferson County in Denver, where this property is located. And this is historical appreciation and projected appreciation. There's a 5-year 20% projected appreciation for this property. Again, we're painting a picture for this prospect. Yes, you're getting in when interest rates are higher, but over the next 5 years, this property is thought to appreciate by 20%. So trying to paint that whole picture for folks. So that's what we're doing for our current partners. And again, they didn't ask us to do this. We're just trying to add as much value to our partners as possible so that we're in front of them and doing things to help them kind of move their business forward. That's one thing we're doing right now. The other thing we're doing right now is in our Zoom pre-approval meetings, which is where all the education that you referenced, Dave, happens. In those meetings, we're trying to paint the picture to our prospects of, hey, this is what's going on right now. Here's where we're at right this moment, and here's where we're headed. So we are in an environment where interest rates are going to continue to go down. The interest rates peaked in the third week of October, and they've just been kind of slowly going down. And now after CPI today, hopefully it'll be a more aggressive drop in rates. But to just kind of share with you a mortgage coach type of presentation we're doing now is we're kind of similar on the prospect side. Here's a 650 purchase price when rates are coming down some. So we're like, people are like waiting for rates to come down, right? Okay, you're waiting on the sidelines for rates to come down. Let's say rates drop into the high fives, which I think I've had this discussion with a lot of my real estate team leads. I think the fives is where the threshold will be that the market will pick up a lot, in my opinion. I think once you can do a permanent buy down to 4.5-ish, I think a lot more people will pull the trigger because the temporary buy down options are not for everybody. But with interest rates falling into the fives, painting a picture for folks. Here's a 650 house with interest rates in the fives. Here's a year one seller subsidy. So if you could still do the subsidy program and get an interest rate in the twos, but the concern at that point is once rates fall, are sellers going to be as likely to continue to negotiate the seller subsidy cost? So one thing that we were solving to in our last market cycle was appraisal gap. So what we're talking about now is, hey, this might be a good use of your money to even maybe pay above list price for the seller subsidy program, because that money that you negotiate to pay for the seller subsidy program, you get back at the time of refinance. So maybe doing an appraisal gap that has a very small impact on your mortgage insurance, and that's the only outcome. There's no cash to close difference for the appraisal gap. And then once you get the seller subsidy money back at the time of refinance, then you're kind of back to a neutral position with the property value, if that makes sense. So this is something that I think is where we're headed. We're headed into sellers having more interest in their properties, less opportunity to negotiate a $20,000 or $30,000 seller subsidy. So what I think the industry will be doing is rolling the seller subsidy into the price of the home and then solving to the appraisal gap is my thought process. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, so first of all, let's stay on this and do a little clinic on it, because I think it's a great lesson for every loan officer needs to learn how to do this. You know, you need to be able to, and every market is different. You know, every market's different. And by the way, every borrower's problems are different and what they're concerned about. But, you know, this is tailored to a consumer. So skill number one, be able to show, you know, seller buy downs. You know, skill number two, and I haven't seen your spin on using the appraisal gap in this market where it's like, hey, we're gonna force it. So we're assuming that, hey, the seller's not going to be able to fund all this, but we're going to show the buyer. But don't worry, you know, even if you have to pay more, look what it looks like. So I just want to make sure everybody connects it on that. Paul Hurley just asked, how is she offering a 4.5% rate before it exists? Any comment? Well, first of all, there's no 4.5 on this. So is he referring to
I think
something
he was
else?
referring to what I was showing agents. So that if you read the disclosures on all those documents I sent over, that was Fannie Mae's projected interest rates for next year. So that's where we were coming up with the 4.5%.
Yeah. And Paul Hurley, to get a full-on lesson on that, maybe we'll get a little more in this call. But the call I did with Jeremy Forcier on marry the house, date the rate, divorce rent, Jeremy gives some really good scripting around that 4.5%. And so maybe we'll get some more scripting from Jessica on it. Also, I want everyone to notice, if you look in chat, there is a link to this. So, you know, my goal is to, like, we're interviewing for ideas and then we're giving you samples so you can go like, I need to know how to do this. And then remember, guys, Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang, we're training every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. We're doing strategy training, and every Friday, or no, excuse me, not Friday, every Thursday at 9 o'clock. Well, actually, Wednesdays 11, Thursdays at 9. We're teaching and training strategies and how to do this stuff. So make sure you sign up for that if you don't. Anything else you want to share on this one? By the
No,
way, I love it. I
cool.
haven't seen this exact strategy. Now, are you doing like Jeremy does, the date the rate, marry the house, and kind of showing a couple affordability strategies, and
We
then
are.
putting in column 3,
Yep.
4.5?
Yep, we sure are. And I think that's where the painting the picture comes in, like I was mentioning earlier, is like, if you show the prospect their path, instead of just being like, okay, so here's 7.5 or 7 or 6.5, and here's the buy down, right? Like you just have to sort of paint a picture for them. Here's where rates might go if you're waiting for rates to fall. Here's a seller subsidy year one, if you can negotiate that, but as rates fall, and you're educating them, right? Like property values and interest rates are going together. So as interest rates fall, I think property values will hold instead of falling, because basically sellers have been having to drop the price of their home to meet affordability thresholds amongst the buyer population. So as interest rates come down, property values will stabilize, we'll have more demand, and sellers won't have to give $20,000 or $30,000 away to get a prospect under contract. So how do we still negotiate the seller subsidy program? Well, we add it to the price. And the concern is of adding it to the price in an environment where we have property values at, a position where they're maybe not stable or they haven't been. The concern amongst the prospect community is, well, what if my property value goes down and I've paid over list price for the property? And that's where you bring in, well, according to Fannie Mae's projections of where interest rates are going to be next year, you're going to have this big amount of subsidy that you had negotiated from the seller that's going to help offset that difference. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You get the 2.875 interest rate to keep it super affordable until the refi, and then you get that money that you negotiated from the seller when at the time of refi. So I think this path, showing a prospect their path, and if they're saying, hey, I'm waiting for rates to come down, well, just keep in mind, as rates continue to fall, buyer demand will continue to go up. We have so many buyers sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to fall. And I think we have to teach our prospects that, hey, I understand why you might be doing that, but just keep in mind that everyone has that same idea. So we just need to keep that in consideration.
Yeah, so hey, stop sharing the screen real quick.
Sure.
And I wanna hear, and I don't know if you use the same words as Jeremy on, date the rate, marry the house, but what is your, and by the way, if you have a TCA that you can easily show, we'll take it, but I also don't want you to feel the pressure to find one ad hoc, but I at least want to hear how are you having that conversation, so because I do think in today's market, that's like the basics. Like if you can't help navigate a consumer that, hey, it's a good time to buy and rates are going down, it's a question of when and how fast. If you can't navigate that conversation, you can't really help realtors, help consumers make decisions. So could you at least give us your strategies,
Sure.
your scripting around that?
Yeah. So in our pre-approval appointment, I have a slide deck that my entire team uses when we're meeting with a prospect. And we are talking about how mortgage rates and inflation are tied. We're showing them slides about, inflation numbers coming down. We're talking about rate hikes. We're talking about recessions. We're talking about how interest rates fall historically during a recession dating back into the 50s. So we're kind of painting a picture for what's going on right now. Yes, we're in a high interest rate time, but here's what historically happens. You are going to have the opportunity to refinance. It's just a matter of when will the exact timing be. So that no cost refinance that we've been offering has been money, because we give people 18 months to be able to utilize that from the time they close. So then people feel like, okay, well, yes, I'm getting in at a little bit higher interest rate than I want, but I have this free refinance to fall back on, within an 18-month window of time. So people really, they feel better about that, because they know that this first loan that they're acquiring the property with is not their forever loan. And I would say that's my exact scripting. This is a short-term loan, and here's why. And then I also back that with data. I use the data in my pre-approval appointments. I'm a big Barry Habib fan. I talked about this on the last time I was on Mortgage Coach. There's a video that I send out to a lot of people. I've even truncated that video to grab little snippets or micro content, sharing little different things in that video about mortgage rates and is it a good time to buy and things like that. And I'm sharing that with my realtor partners and my prospective clients as well. So
Cool. So what are some other, we've got 4 minutes until we're at halftime, and I want to do at least another total cost analysis. How are you bringing advice to win? But what are some things you're doing to plan where the puck is going? Because that's for you to have the kind of year you did this year. You must have done some planning and been ahead of where the puck is going. What are you doing right now to plan for 23?
Well, kind of piggybacking off of what we were just talking about, I think it's really important. The two things we should be thinking about when we're headed into a lower interest rate environment. One is we have a whole slew of clients that have just closed with us in the last 12 months, maybe 10 months, that have a little bit elevated interest rate. And we want to be proactive with those clients. Like if we offered them a no cost refinance, at least for our team, we want to be proactive. So we're building mortgage coaches for our clients and saying, hey, here's where you're at now. And here's 3 interest rate opportunities that you could potentially pull the trigger on the refinance. We probably don't want to pull that trigger prematurely because I think the mortgage rates will continue to fall. But we also don't want to do it and we miss the bottom. So we're giving people a mortgage coach proactively and saying, here's where you're at. And here's 3 different interest rate, different spots that you could potentially pull the trigger on.
Do you have some of those? So by the way,
yeah.
I am loving this, guys. What a great idea. Because trust me, when rates fall, you've got to train your clients. You got to train them that I got you. I'm not only going to help you close your loan today, but I'm going to help manage your mortgage over time. And we're going to nail that script before this is over and know exactly how Jessica does it. So, and by the way, we're going to put links. So you'll see links to these in chat, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching it live in Zoom or Facebook, check it out. We want to make sure you're trained on how to do that.
Cool. So here's, this is an example client that closed at a 7% rate and, they bought their house for $753. And then we would reach out to them even before rates dropped. This is what actually is best for the client and for our team to have our refinance strategy this time in a very organized fashion. When March of 2020 hit, none of us were really ready for what came at us. This time, I told my team, we're going to go about this a little differently. We're going to have a spreadsheet of people and we're going to get their buy-in. Okay, I want to refinance when rates hit 5.25. And then, okay, I have your permission to go ahead and lock the loan and send disclosures to you at that time. So we're reaching out proactively and saying, okay, you'd save about $600 if rates fell to 5.5, about almost $700 if rates fell to 5.25. And then $865 a month if rates fell to 4.75. So we're showing people different levels and saying, hey, none of these are guaranteed, right? We're educating people that we don't have a crystal ball. We're going off of projected interest rates from a lot of the big players in real estate. But I would like to know, when do you want to lock the loan? And asking people for their buy-in in advance before rates fall, so that the minute rates fall, we're just locking our past client database and refinancing their loans for them, and that we're ready to do so. So that's kind of how we're approaching our past clients that bought at a time when interest rates were a little bit higher. So that's one thing that we're doing. In terms of the purchase market, what we're doing is we're teaching clients about, once the demand comes back, and I'm a firm believer, we've got a low inventory of homes, at least in Denver, our primary market. And I believe from talking to a lot of people that cannot qualify with a rate in the high 6s, low 7s, or clients that can't afford the payment, we got a lot of people on the sidelines sort of waiting and hanging out. So we're teaching clients your opportunity to buy a home with a discount is shrinking. And we're creating some urgency in that pre-approval appointment that like everyone wants a discount. Everyone wants to buy things on sale. Black Friday, people go nuts to get,
Right.
something at a discount. There's nothing better to get at a discount than your home, right? To be able to buy a house and get a deal. And that window of opportunity is shrinking. And that's what we're educating our folks about that are prospective buyers going into 2023 is time is of the essence. The interest rates are going to be our gauge, right? So as interest rates fall, your ability to get a discount is shrinking. And I think that's the messaging that we have to give clients because they are very motivated to get a deal. And a lot of them have been waiting and not jumping because they think property values are going to go lower. And again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know for sure, but I will tell you in my office, when the rates went from 6 to 5 earlier this year, like in August, if I recall, our mortgage applications went way up when they fell by a point. When CPI numbers came out in November, our mortgage applications went up. So I know for a fact that mortgage applications and interest rate, at least in my office, in my market, are very closely tied. So I think that it's something that our clients need to understand that rates, in my opinion, I don't think property values are going to fall a lot lower. I think we've met our peak for interest rates. And I think at least in Denver, we're bottoming out in terms of property values. So time is of the essence. You should act now before all that buyer demand is competing for the same house.
Yeah, no, I agree, but you're educating, you're leading with education, you're providing data, you're providing facts, you're creating a commentary around that. How are you using data? Because I know, you guys also have sales boomerang, so you're monitoring your database so that you can identify the signals and the insights. How are you leveraging data and how do you plan to leverage data in 2023?
Yeah, so 2023, I think sales boomerang is such a powerful tool, but the thing I think is going to be really powerful is the vast majority of Americans have their wealth is in their home, right? And we're going into a recession and there's going to be job loss. There's going to be, a backlash from inflation of consumers having, put their Christmas and other things on a credit card. And now they've got credit card debt and they're going to be in a position where they need access to their equity. So what we're going to be doing in 2023 is utilizing sales boomerang to help clients identify their tappable equity. And we are going to be reaching out to just tell people like, hey, a lot of our clients have been reaching out to us to ask us about leveraging equity in their home. This is how much equity we see that you have available to you to leverage to do a debt consolidation, to be able to pay student loans off, or, if you want to buy another property, we're proactively reaching out to our database because those clients are going to be looking to refinance. And if we can stay in front of them and be having those conversations with them and reminding them, this is how much money you have access to. If we plant those seeds right now, and then there's job loss 3 months from now, they're going to be like, oh, Jessica called me and we have 150 grand sitting in our house. That's the solution. And then they're going to call me. So we're trying to stay in front of our clients in advance of those things happening in their lives.
I love this. So I want to share a thought with everyone. And as I'm doing this, Jessica, I'm going to get your feedback as I go through these next couple slides. But I'm going to share my screen, and what you're seeing right now is a quote that I said from stage in 2018. And I said that technology isn't going to replace loan officers, but loan officers who master technology will replace those who don't. And so I have an update for 2023. And here's my update, guys. Technology still isn't going to replace loan officers, but data-driven mortgage advisors already are. Like Jessica is taking market share. She's leveraging data. And this slide actually is from a presentation that I had been given for about a month. And I get asked to do a lot of keynotes at sales rallies. And I'm gonna be doing this one all probably January, February, March. Maybe I'll do this through April and I'll come up with something new. But here's the presentation. And I want to get, this is where I want to start getting your opinion, Jessica. It's like how to survive during a high rate market while preparing for lower rates and the spring home buying season. And we know for an absolute fact there will be a spring home buying season. Like,
Sure.
how good will it be? But that is where most purchase transactions take place. And at the same time, I do believe rates are coming down, so we should prepare. By the way, that doesn't mean spend more money. We've got to keep the P&L. We can't lose money. Plan your P&L for the worst. Plan your sales and marketing strategies for what I have on the screen right now. So first of all, do you agree with that, Jessica? Is that how you are high level strategically planning?
100%. You nailed it, Dave. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I didn't nail it. I interview a lot of really smart people, and then I take really good notes, and I take what they're doing and I play it back. So just like this script, like I did not write this script. Now I did, when I founded Mortgage Coach, my value prop was my advice makes a difference. So by the way, I didn't start that. I had a lot of really smart buddies. Barry Habib was and still is one of them. Tim Brahim is still one of them. All these really smart people. We all learned that like advice is the competitive advantage. So I would love if you were to make an edit to this script, call it a value proposition script. What might you say that's different than this? And it could be a nuance, to how you or your team, my advice helps you build wealth with real estate, blah, blah. Is there any edits that you would make to this?
No, I think this is exactly how I frame it with our prospects and clients, but I'm very realtor focused. Like for when I'm doing content online, I'm speaking to realtors. That's just how I'm wired, and then they can share it with their prospects. So I would say taking that exact script and teaching real estate agents why they need a consultative mortgage professional. I think that's one opportunity right now is that real estate agents are confused sometimes what they need, right? They don't know, do I need the lowest rate? Do I need this? Do I need that? And they don't really understand what they need. No, you need someone who's going to help your client build wealth through real estate, teaching the realtor that, but then also teaching why that's important for the client and for our collective businesses together. So I would say taking that script and using that in the real estate community is so powerful so they can understand what you're doing with their clients.
Well, just real quick, and I'm going to type a little bit, but so I just made another slide. So we've got the borrower version.
Okay.
And then we got a realtor version.
Perfect.
What nuance? Well, by the way, I haven't changed any of the words.
Cool.
But what if you were to change the words from a realtor's, when you're delivering this to a realtor, what would be the realtor version of it? What would be the nuances that you might change?
Yeah. We don't just get your client into debt. We help them understand from a consultative approach how they can build wealth through real estate, right? And we teach them about opportunities that we see in the market and how they can win in our current market conditions. We help them solve to their problems. So I think that's what it's about in the real estate community is how do we help their clients win and how do we help our clients build wealth? Those are the two legs that are so important with them and their clients. And that's how we become the backbone of their business, their conversion arm of their business, so to speak.
So I will, everybody in the Mortgage Coach community, stay tuned. I'll have a post within a day or two where we have the Jessica version of how she takes this borrower script, turns it into a real estate script. Notice the word conversion partner. I'm sure that when she's talking to people, she's talking about how she's helping people get under contract. Like, hey, I'm going to actually help people go from pre-approval to under contract. She's delivering much more value. So let me get your opinion on this. I want to share my screen one more time. And then also, if you have more things you want to share your screen on, I'll hand it back to you in a minute. So, and you spoke to this early, that one of the ways that you use Sales Boomerang is you're getting equity alerts, cash out alerts. And I want to remind everybody, we've got, an incredible debt consolidation analysis and mortgage coach. So literally you can get that data insight, and then you can really build out a better strategy for the family. I interviewed Amit Singh a week ago, and in his case, he actually got an equity alert from a family, from a borrower, and what he found out was a borrower in need. Like, it was their credit score had gone down, their use of credit had gone up, their equity had gone up too, and he reached out and found out that, hey, this is a family where they had a sick child. The mom was actually weeks away from taking a leave of absence, which, by the way, would have made them unfinanceable. Like, they wouldn't have been able to access that debt. And he was able to help that family, like, get the right mortgage, consolidate debt, really position them for the next 2 years so that they could, one, take care of their child, and two, keep their home. So I just want to remind everybody that cash out alert, those equity alerts, well, first of all, Jessica, from you, how important is it, and how do you and your team follow up on those?
Yeah, the minute we see them come through, we're talking about it in our team meeting, and like assigning who can call that client immediately. Like, time is of the essence, right? The other thing I think is shifting our perspective. Sometimes when we think refinance, we think us, like, this is for me. I need to get these refinances to supplement my pipeline. I think if you can shift your thought process to, these clients need to hear from me. It's my duty to call these clients and share with them tactics on what might be able to help them weather the storm. If we're going through a recession, our clients need us. They need our advice. They need our perspective. What they're thinking about may not be the right thing. Like, oh, I'm going to open an equity line. Well, it might actually be better for me to show you a cash out refinance analysis. So it's better for us to proactively reach out than for them to have to call us and inquire, or to lose them to a competitor, which is why Sales Boomerang is such a powerful tool, is that we know, okay, it's time, we need to reach out to these folks. So we definitely prioritize the Sales Boomerang alerts.
Cool. So let me ask you about another strategy. And by the way, Paul, you've asked a couple of questions around rates. They're pretty technical. By the way, they're fantastic questions, but I do think coming to either our Wednesday strategy training at 11 or our Thursday Q&A, all those questions will get answered, and you'll learn how to do these things that Jessica is doing. One thing that I think is super important in terms of, remember, preparing for spring home buying season.
Yep.
And remember, preparing for rates coming down. So, make sure that you've tuned up your Sales Boomerang insight so that, you've got rate watch that you're using, you've got rate in term refis, make sure you have the cash out turned on. And then I want to remind everybody, there's an integration between Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang. Remember, we're one company now, and you could go, like, one of the things that makes our alerts so much better than any alert in the industry is that it's not just a data insight, it's a data insight and a borrower education experience. So, like, we're literally automating that, and there'll be even more automation. But what are your thoughts on this? Just making sure that your team is all set up and ready to go. And before you answer that, one of the moves that we recommend a lot when we do get back into rate and term is to show current loan, refinance, and then show the power of investing the difference. So 2 questions: thoughts on preparing and making sure your team's ready to go, and then thoughts on when you do present refis, how do you do it?
Yeah, so we're doing that spreadsheet to get all of at least the clients that have bought in the last 10 months or so, ready to go. And then those Sales Boomerang alerts we're jumping on immediately. So that's our organization around our refinance pipeline. And then what was the second thing you asked me, Dave? I just lost that.
Yeah, when you do present a refi TCA, yep, do you do that reinvestment strategy?
Every time. It's so important, because you've got the client that's like, oh, it's $270 a month, and that doesn't necessarily move the needle for them. But if you show them the reinvestment strategy of the $270 a month, and what that looks like for them, that really gets them excited. The more affluent buyers, that $270 a month, it doesn't change their household budget for the month. That's what they're more excited about. So that's another thing. Our team, when we do trainings on refinances, we really try to focus on what kind of client do you have on the line? Do you have a client that might be living paycheck to paycheck that's going to be super excited to miss 1 or 2 payments in their when they refi, where they can like kind of get caught up financially? Or do you have a client that is more worried about the value of their loan balance increasing? So really identifying who do you have on the line here and what is the best strategy for them, and that's how we approach it. So that reinvestment strategy is especially for the more the clients that are not living paycheck to paycheck, that are more sensitive about their mortgage balance going up. Those are the clients that reinvestment strategy is really fantastic for.
Okay, cool. So guys, we're at 15-minute mark. If you have questions, now's the time to get them. I do want to just, really hit home with, if you want to kill it for agents, you need to turn your database into a data bank. And then I am going to ask you a question, Jessica. Are you, I know Josh is getting agents to give him his database, or at least he's making the ask. Like, hey, your database is better off in my sales boomerang mortgage coach powered database. So I am going to go there before we run out of time. I do want to just, guys, I updated my, this is a picture of my cover in LinkedIn, because my mantra for 2023 is be a data-driven mortgage advisor. So you're going to just hear tactics, strategies, stories of loan officers doing that. I want to remind y'all, I have a mobile club. So I've got, over 1,000 loan officers that subscribe to this. It's free. All you got to do is just text 949-799-0837. And like, I can tell you right now, there's going to be some highlights from this interview, and I'm going to share those to these. So get in that club. And then if you don't already have Mortgage Coach, and you want to learn more, and you want to, schedule a demo, just take a picture of that, or shoot me an email at Dave@mortgagecoach. So we'll show this again before we run out of time. So let's talk about that. Recruit your realtors database and how you're doing that, and just any high level you want to share on that.
Yeah, I think it's important to educate our clients on Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang, and the tools and how those tools will create business opportunities for them. So we were just talking about getting the alerts on equity. Not every single one of those people need access to the equity in their home for debt consolidation or anything like that. But a lot of them we've talked about in our initial pre-approval appointment when they bought their house maybe in 2020, about what would it look like for you one day to convert this house into a rental property. So the scripting might be to the agent, like, hey, if the window of opportunity for a client to invest in a property and get a deal on it is shrinking, maybe that opportunity for them to, be able to leverage some of their equity to buy that next house. We could show them the numbers with Mortgage Coach, right? Here's the savings of you pulling the trigger now versus the 3-year mark that you originally set in 2020, which is just in a handful of months. But if interest rates come down and, buyer demand goes up, which it will, then they won't have as much of a margin for profit on that property. So I think like being in alignment with your realtor, so you have the same scripting, and then teaching our real estate partners how we're adding value to their business using Sales Boomerang. Here's what we do with your prospects in order to teach them about the equity they have in their property, and then bring it to your attention too. Hey, I talked to Joe yesterday. Joe's got 150 grand worth of equity available in his property. And in our original pre-approval appointment, we had talked about house hacking, and Joe was very interested in that. And I had in my notes, Joe was going to live in this house for a few years. So what I just did is I talked to him about maybe moving that timeline up a little bit to maybe 2.5 years, so that he can take advantage of these current market conditions of property values being slightly depressed, and being able to get this deal that Joe might want. So I think that's how we teach our real estate partners about Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang.
Love it. And another strategy, I think, when I think of where the puck's going, as interest rates start coming down and people, first time home buyers are going to start jumping and move up buyers are going to want to come. But one of the challenges for the move up buyer is that I think it's 8.2 trillion in mortgage debt in America. There's like, I don't know if it's 12 or 13 trillion total, but 8.2 trillion of it starts with a 2 or a 3. So there's going to be this, I want to move up and it's coming, but I got this 2 or I got this 3 rate. And so I think one of the most common problems you're going to be able to solve is, hey, consumer, home buyer, look, here's how you can rent out your house. This is what it looks like to keep it, like turn that into an asset while moving up. And or hey, here's what investing in real estate looks like. Now it's time to buy your second home. It's time to buy a piece of investment property. So I think, or we're making the case that, yeah, you got that too, but look at the wealth accumulation you're going to get by moving up. So you're either going to be giving them clarity and confidence, keep it, or clarity and confidence, it's still worth moving up. So I think that's going to become a very important conversation. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I was telling every one of my clients during the pandemic, be prepared to get stuck in this house, so to speak, because rates will never be back at 2 3/4, in my opinion. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. When I hear someone say, yeah, I have a 2.75 rate, let's say they weren't my client that I helped buy the house, I'm like, you'll never sell that house. You're going to retain that house forever. And here's why. And then use Mortgage Coach to show them the power of cash flow with that cool mortgage, amazing mortgage rate that they have. And then, wealth accumulation through Mortgage Coach on the new purchase as well. Having 2 properties appreciate, even just like at a really conservative, appreciation amount, it's very powerful over time to show them what holding on to the original house looks like and investing in the next house. And again, that's how we get our real estate partners to be like, wow, you called our past client and you followed up with them on potentially wanting to invest in more real estate. That's how you win partners for life as well. So
and I think, from what you just said, this is something we also need to start talking to realtors that, hey, I'm killing it for you today because I'm doing this strategy, I'm doing this strategy. And do you think rates are going to start coming down? Oh, you do? This is how I'm your partner next year. So I really think that educational experience, and it might be worth creating some move up analysis that are like hypothesizing 4.5% rates, and where we're able to show a move up buyer that's got 2 3/4.
Yep.
That here's what it looks like. So maybe tell me if you think this is a good strategy to take to realtors.
Okay.
Column A is, that house you have at 2 3/4.
Yep.
Column B is that house you have at 2 3/4 and keeping it.
Yep.
And column C is that house you have at 2 3/4 and selling it. And then do the net worth at the bottom. Look at your net worth. And what do you think about like literally having a version of that you kind of make some rounds, maybe not second week in January, but like as spring home buying season comes, like that's a conversation that you're having in February or March. What are your thoughts?
I think having the conversation with the real estate community now, like, hey, one of our biggest challenges that we have as an industry is that we have this gridlock where people don't want to move because they have these crazy good interest rates. Here's what I'm doing with my prospect community to overcome that, thought process, and then showing that Mortgage Coach maybe in a video and sending it out to your real estate partners. Real estate partners are, in my opinion, over the next 2 or 3 weeks, going to have a lot of time that they could watch a video that you put out. So I think pumping something like that out now to show the value that they're going to add to your business if they refer their clients to you. That's what comes to mind for me when you said that. I love that idea for that TCA.
Okay, so wait, so now just so we don't have to wait for another 3-4 years for you and I to do an interview, would you be willing that, by the way, no rush, like whenever you do it, whether you do it this month or you do it next month, that you just jump on you and I do once you've done it, we'll
Sure.
jump on Zoom and do like a 15 to 30-minute interview, and we'll share that. We'll share what you did, how you did it,
Cool.
and we'll bring it. Are you cool with that?
I love that. Yeah, I'm going to do that video for my real estate partners, sharing that TCA that you just came up with. And then I'll do a follow-up with you and let you know how it went and what the feedback was.
Boom. Okay, cool. So we've only got a couple minutes left. There's a lot of questions. So, and by the way, guys, I just saw that we've got this little reactions thing. So look in the bottom column. If you're digging this, you know, any of those reactions come to mind, let Jessica and I know how this call's gone for y'all. There's been a lot of requests from, you know, the template that you have, the Barry Habib video. Are you cool with sharing that with me?
Totally.
And I'll,
Yep.
so anyone watching this, whether you're watching this on YouTube, we'll have these, you know, everything that you've asked for, that Jessica's willing to share. We'll get you guys links to it. Jessica, in our last 4 minutes, any closing thoughts you have? I mean, I want you to put your hat on like, I'm a sales manager and I'm
Sure.
talking to my peeps.
Yeah.
You know, give us some advice as a leader, as a sales leader.
Yeah. I mean, I think what comes to mind for me is just thinking about where we're headed. I know we're all tired. We worked our tails off in 2020 and 2021, and then we've been working our tails off this year, you know, to keep our production numbers up. But my advice is let's focus on the future. We've got some really, really great times coming. We're going to be able to help a lot of families. And I'm super optimistic about 2023 and what our team is going to do. And I'm super optimistic on what opportunities clients are going to have as well. So I think 2023 is going to be an amazing year, in my opinion. And that's what I'm preaching to my team, to keep people motivated, to keep running. We got to keep running, keep going.
Yeah, I know, I love that. And knowing that you're going to close at you did 260 in 22 and, excuse me, not 22, 20, 21 and 20, and
Yep.
you did about 200 million this year. Have you guys come up with a goal for 23 yet?
Yeah, we want to do 777 units, which is kind of funny, but that's just a kind of a good number that our team keeps focusing on, which would be about 388 million roughly for our team. We are going to have to add some originators to our team to do that goal, but we're working on that. Like, I am on a massive growth and expansion in order to be able to fulfill the business that I think is going to be coming at me from the relationships I've built during this time when interest rates have been high and business has been muted a little bit. So I'm excited. I think next year is going to be amazing.
That is bold. So guys, you know, 777, 3 sevens, which I think, you know, is a lucky number. You know, at least it sounds lucky to me. And 388 million. So we heard it here. Let's, you know, I'll be interviewing Jessica again, and
Cool.
I don't know if it'll be a week, a month, whenever she's ready for that next one. If you got value from this, please give this a like on social media, share this with your mortgage friends, share this with your managers. You know, be a data-driven mortgage advisor. If you don't have Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang, either go to our website, get a demo, use that. Oh, actually, I'll show. No, I'm not going to show it because, guys, you're in our Facebook group. You're part of this thread. So, Jessica, really appreciate your time and all the value you bring to the mission we're on.
Thank you so much, Dave. It was fun to be with you today. Take care.
All right, fun to be with you. Take care.